While the name Death Valley has an eerie tone to it, this national park is full of beautiful landscapes with different shades and textures of terrain around every corner. Originally named by traveling pioneers in 1949, Death Valley spans across both California and Nevada, and it is the largest national park in the contiguous United States. The Death Valley landscape includes volcanic craters, salt lake beds, sandstone cliffs, and historical landmarks. In this video, you'll get ideas for planning your perfect trip out west, with recommendations for places to visit, sights to see, and fun tips and tricks you'll want to be aware of along the way. A great starting point for your trip to Death Valley is Furnace Creek, which is the location of the park's visitor center and serves as a good launch point for trips to other nearby attractions. Keep in mind that cellular reception tends to be quite poor in Death Valley, so you'll want to prepare each day with a fully charged phone. There are opportunities to pay for Wi-Fi access within the Furnace Creek area as well. Whether you need help with finding the best hiking path, want to learn more about what the park has to offer, or need to check into one of the nearby campgrounds, Furnace Creek is a good home base for starting your trip. Since there are limited stores and restaurants within the actual park, we recommend bringing a cooler pack so that you have easy access to food throughout the day. While there are a few restaurants in Death Valley, they tend to be on the pricier side. Keep in mind that you will also want to keep water on you at all times. It is actually recommended that each person in your group consume a gallon of water each day at a minimum, given the dry and often hot weather. One of the more popular ways to drive through Death Valley is by car, preferably one with 4x4 drive and reliable air conditioning. The cost to enter the park is only $30 per vehicle, and the pass will last you a whole 7 days. There are also opportunities for free, discounted, or lifetime entry passes for certain populations such as military personnel and senior citizens, so you want to check into these deals before you make your purchase. Keep in mind that some of the sites are a bit rugged, and you will want to remain on the main pathways provided for visitors to help lower the risk of getting in a bind with a flat tire or a broken down vehicle. Additionally, there are limited gas stations within the park, one of which is in Furnace Creek, so it is important to ensure you have a full tank before you leave for any expeditions. The summertime weather is extremely hot in Death Valley, with temperatures rising past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. This season tends to span from May through September each year. You can beat the heat by ensuring you have a vehicle with good air conditioning and by exploring areas of the park that are at a higher level of elevation, as these places tend to be cooler. Although the summer season is extremely hot, you can still have a safe, enjoyable trip by ensuring you take appropriate precautions, like spending enough time in air-conditioned areas, drinking your water, and wearing appropriate clothing. The park is open year-round, with spring being the most popular season for visitors, as this time of the year tends to produce the most colorful flower backdrops. It is recommended to visit in April if you want to see these rare wildflowers, but it really isn't possible to choose an exact date and time that will ensure they have bloomed. Winter is also an excellent choice, with an average daily high of 67 degrees Fahrenheit, but be sure to bring layers, as the temperature drops significantly in the evening. Another benefit of seeing Death Valley in the winter is that this season tends to be less popular for tourists, so you may enjoy the views with fewer crowds. The shoulder season of fall, which usually begins near the end of October, is also an excellent choice for milder weather. One of the best ways to start your morning in Death Valley is to drive to the Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes. If you're willing to get there by sunrise, you'll be rewarded by incredible views of the sun rising over the desert and mountain plains. Even if your day gets started a bit later, this location is not one to skip, and you can even enjoy similar views at sunset, if that fits better with your schedule. The Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes is the only location within the park where visitors are permitted to sandboard. Don't forget to bring along your water. Another Death Valley attraction you've got to see is the Zabriskie Point. Like the dunes, this site also makes for amazing sunrise views, and it's conveniently located just 10 minutes from Furnace Creek via car. You'll see beautifully folded sandstone in addition to the Panamint Mountains. There's also the Badlands Loop Trail, a 2.5-mile hike that can be easily reached from the Zabriskie Point parking lot. Turn right at the beginning of the trail loop if you like to take the easier route. Speaking of hiking, if you only go on one hike during your time at Death Valley, the Golden Canyon should be high on your list of potential trails. The hike is about 3 miles and you'll experience gorgeous canyons and unique rock formations. You may recognize some of the surrounding scenery from Star Wars Episode 4, as the areas of the trail were utilized in the movie. Additionally, Star Wars fans may be interested in Dante's View, a site that was also featured in Episode 4. Dante's View is about 25 miles from Furnace Creek and offers arguably some of the greatest sights of Death Valley. The landing, a whopping 5,400 feet in height, overlooks some of the park's highlights, including the Badwater Basin and its surrounding mountains. Viewpoints are also easy to get to from the parking lot. Death Valley is known for being one of the darkest parks in the country, and Dante's View is the perfect location for evening stargazing. The Badwater Basin is another popular site, as it features interesting terrain. This area is at the lowest elevation in the country, so it can get very hot, especially during the day. At the Badwater Basin, you'll see miles of salt flats. Drivers should note that the parking lot is quite small, so you may want to get to this attraction earlier in the day, though some of the best valley views can actually be seen at dusk. You'll also have access to the Artist Palette and Artist Drive. This area earned its name from its beautiful green, blue, and purple terrain. Natural metal deposits created this beautiful color palette over time. You do not necessarily need to hike to experience the views from the Badwater Basin or Artist Palette. There is a 9-mile, one-way driving path that winds through the scenery, and there are even a few areas where you can pull over and take pictures outside of your car. If you are short on time and don't want to stop at both pullout areas, you may want to prioritize the second stop for the best views. Next, we have the Ubehebe Crater, which is arguably one of the most fascinating sights in Death Valley. This attraction is about 58 miles from Furnace Creek, and it's definitely worth the drive. Ubehebe, like other craters in the area, was developed following eruptions of volcanic craters about 2,100 years ago. As the largest crater, Ubehebe spans about a half-mile in width and has a depth greater than 600 feet. Though visitors can experience great views from the parking lot, there are also opportunities for hiking as well. If you want to hike to the bottom of the crater, keep in mind that it's much easier to hike downward than it is to hike upward, so you want to make sure you are feeling great before you get started. You can also walk around the perimeter of Ubehebe. This trail provides additional views of nearby craters and is only about 1.5 miles in distance. Death Valley is an awesome choice for travelers who want to see unique, natural spaces that are all set within relevant historical context. This park is a bucket list item for avid hikers, but many of the attractions are also more accessible to people with different levels of athleticism. In fact, some of the sites only require a short walk from the car. You may even see some interesting wildlife on your journey. Death Valley hosts species of birds, fish, and the infamous Roadrunner, which gained its popularity through its desert-based cartoon with Wile E. Coyote. Although Death Valley certainly has an eerie name, you shouldn't have to worry about Acme anvils falling from the sky.